Matt Lee joins us. He is our real estate guru, always talking about real estate concerns and issues throughout our region. Let's talk about secondary suites, Matt.
Yeah.
In the West End, they've always been there, it seems.
Yeah, they've been there for, it does seem like it's been a long time. It's probably been about 4 years.
These are basement rentals, things like that?
Yeah, so there's a certain area where you can go on. The best thing to do is go on the City of Kingston website, type in the search bar at the top, secondary suites, and it'll pull up a map for you.
Really?
Yeah, so you can see where it's kind of, they've got it highlighted in green, and it shows you where you can put your secondary suites. You have to have an entrance into the basement, and you have to have a certain amount of square footage. You can only use 40% of the house.
So this is converting your house into a secondary suite?
Yeah, so they're allowing you to gain income off of that as well. And I mean, that is income, by the way. So if anybody's looking at doing that and putting somebody in the basement, you have to remember that that's going to...
Got to declare it.
Got to declare it.
Yeah.
So that's been there for a while, and we've actually just recently come into the East End. So across the causeway and basically going up through Greenwood Park, they have secondary suites over there now.
And this wasn't the case before?
No, it's been a short time. I have to get the exact date, but it's something that's fairly new. And I think that it's going to be something that's interesting. I mean, we're dealing with relocations with military coming up this month, next month, where they're going to start getting their postings. And I think that what is going to happen is that maybe some of these military people think, you know what, I'm not using my basement that much, and maybe I'll convert it because to have a rental on. I mean, these guys will work with there's a relocation Brookfield rental side of it as well. I'm a D&D member, so therefore I deal with these people on a regular basis, and we're coming into that time. Does it add value? Yeah, I think it does add value to the property if you make the change. If you don't make the change, even though you've got the mapping area, I don't know if it makes that much of a difference just being there. I think that you kind of stay in what the going trend of the market value. If you add that apartment, you can see the income, you can do these things. I think it makes a difference.
And of course, follow the codes, separate entrance you have to have as a...
Yeah, so when you go on that website for the City of Kingston, there's the map, but down below it, it actually says, converting a single-family residential into a secondary suite. When you click on that, it actually has this whole graph, and basically it starts with, do you meet the zoning bylaw, which means are you in the mapping area?
Right.
The second one is do you meet the building code? So therefore, have you done the apartment already, and do you have a fire-rated drywall? Do you have separation? Do you have the fire-rated doors? Do you have all of this stuff set up properly? Finally, it's basically if you get yes and yes to those two, go and apply for your permit and then just rent it.
Always great information. Of course, they can go to the City of Kingston website for more information and just follow along with that. I received an email from a viewer, a great question. She asked me to ask you.
Sure.
Her situation is that her mortgage is now eligible for early renewal without penalty. Currently a 10-year mortgage with the CIBC at 6%. It expires in June. She can decide to keep the condo or sell it. If she sells it, the line of credit gets completely paid off, which is always good news.
Okay.
And she will owe nothing to anyone. She'll come out ahead. If she renews the mortgage, it will be a significantly lower interest rate, less than half of what she's paying now. That's huge.
Yeah.
So even with the line of credit rolled into the new mortgage, the monthly mortgage payments will be about the same as they are now. If she renews now and decides to sell it in a few months.
If she breaks her mortgage in a couple months, you'll have this huge penalty, which is basically the interest for the 5 years. And do you think of any reason not to hold on to not to renew the mortgage?
Is this a common scenario?
Yeah, I mean, people ask you all the time. I mean, they'll call me and they'll say, "Would you like to, come out and have a look? We're not sure if we're selling or not." And I think that it's one of these things that I would personally renew the mortgage here and stay for another 5 years. I would take your 5 years and continue. So.
All right, thank you, Matt Lee.
All right.
I will see you next week.
Real estate tips brought to you by Matt Lee of Royal LePage.